Step into analysis, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. Wherever you may be, thank you for tuning in and listening to this exclusive interview with the people who hosted the South by Southwest 2018 Westworld event. The journey of this exhibit starts all the way back in October of 2017 when Ghost Town owners George and Melanie were reached out to by Big Spoon. For those that don't know, this is the ad agency in charge of this grand event. The following audio has been cut to make a clear and enjoyable video without the ums of an amateur interviewer. Please excuse the music playing in the background. We sat in a restaurant located dead center of this famed ghost town. When this venue isn't hosting events, it stands as a themed eatery for those that enjoy the Old West and great burgers. Enjoy.
So they got on our website, I guess. I don't know how they found our website, and they contacted Melanie. And Melanie said to me, there's a group that wants to do a Westworld thing out here.
Oh, nice.
And I went, well, okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Wasn't quite sure. This was in January, early January, and so I thought, well, okay, let's see what they what they want to do.
Yeah.
And at first, I thought it was a group from Austin that wanted to do a Westworld type, experience.
Role play or
sort of a LARPing thing. So I thought, well, all right, and
nice.
So then some guys showed up, some people showed up, and they were from
Big Spoon,
and they were from California.
Nice.
I went, what? And then the director came in from New York. I went, what? What's going on here? I didn't quite get the concept. I thought it was just a local group wanting to do.
Yeah.
So they kind of laid it out and said this is what they wanted to do. They said they want to do this Westworld thing. And I thought, well, how are y'all going to recover your expense on this? Mm-hmm. They said, oh, we're not. I went, what?
Interesting.
I said, so I thought it was like an event.
Yeah.
And then they said, no, we're going to come in and we're going to do this, we're going to redo this town. We want to take out my center building and add some stuff to it. And I'm like, okay. And they said they would spend about $500,000 here. I went, what?
Wow.
Well, they flew in people from New York and from Los Angeles, and they came out here and they looked around. And my understanding is they looked at our place here, and they looked at Luck, Texas, which is Willie Nelson's place. You're either in luck or you're out of luck. And the way my front part was set up was almost identical to what they wanted to do.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they had this vision. They said, man, you had a good vision, and we wanted to do this out here.
Outstanding.
And I thought, well, okay. Yeah. Well, then the cold came in and the rain came in, and they wanted to, we gave them like 3 weeks that they could do this setup, and they called us back and said that they would need some more time to demolition my front facade. Oh. So I went, okay. So they came in early February and they tore it all down.
Yeah.
And they built this deck, and then they built this, put in these like roofs, look like carports, and they added the sides, the inside and outside to it, and that's how they got these buildings down here.
Okay. Yeah.
Then they added to my way station, which they called Mariposa.
Mariposa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll show you that in a minute.
Okay. Awesome.
And so they redid that building, and then my water park had walls, but they put up these big giant walls with big braces and stuff. And they rented trees.
Really?
And they brought in some rocks, and actually because of the rain and the mud here, it was very trying for them, because it rained during early February out here a lot, and this place gets, if you don't know, this black clay gets unforgiving in the mud. So they worked through the mud, through the rain, because they had a deadline.
Could you briefly say about how many people were working on that?
Oh, I'll bet there was 30 people.
Wow.
30 construction workers. They actually brought in, later on, they brought in some more just temporary help, just because, let me back up. There's probably about 10 at first, and they brought in about 20 more or so to just to do.
Yeah.
And they did the modifications to the buildings, and they brought in a painter, and they painted a couple of the buildings out here. which I really didn't want to paint it at first because it had that old look.
You kind of developed an aesthetic that you were going for. Yeah.
But so we asked them to just paint it lightly, and they painted it lightly, so it's going to age pretty fast.
Okay.
Now this building and the middle building and the Mariposa.
Mariposa.
Mariposa. were drastically changed.
Yeah.
And so now we have, this is what you see here.
Very cool.
So when they came out, when the show actually started, they built a big platform out front and had a train car on our train tracks. They brought in this long train car, this very opulent one, and you walked in through the front pavilion, front greeting area, and they said, "Welcome to Westworld." And then you went through this train, and you walked out under this vista. You'll see.
Yeah.
It just looked out like down the town of Sweetwater.
That's awesome. Yeah.
They had about 30 actors or so that stayed in character, and they played out a scene about every hour. I think they did it, or 2 or 3 times a night. And the interesting thing was, at one point they had a photography booth over here.
Yeah.
And there was a photographer in there, and so I went in and I said, "Well, what do y'all do? Take the pictures and print them out on a computer?" He looked at me and said, "What's a computer?"
Oh, one of the actors did.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Because he stayed in character.
I actually read that it was closer to 60 actors, and the agency developed 444 pages worth of script.
Oh yes, it was a very long script.
400.
Yeah.
I read that and I was baffled. Right.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen some of the videos where they'll try to get the host to I guess malfunction like that. And so far I haven't seen anyone break character. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, actually I was talking to the photographer, and then my phone rang. So I said, "Oh, excuse me, I'm from the future. That's my spaceship."
That's amazing.
So I had to leave. So they had their show. He said 60 actors. I don't know. There was.
Okay.
It was hard to tell. There was a lot of people. Maybe there was closer to 60.
Realistically. Okay.
Yeah. And they all stayed in character. And out here in this open area is where the show kind of ended up. There was a guy looking for his brother. His brother had been killed. And then this guy found the guy that killed his brother, and he had a gun on him. There's guns on everybody. Everybody had guns out.
I think I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, and he said, don't, I forget this guy's name. He says, he's going to jail. He goes, jail ain't good enough for him. He's going to die. And he says, no, put the gun down. So he finally put the gun down. And this is the sheriff, and things got under control. Then all of a sudden, bam, you hear this loud bang, and the sheriff gets shot in the back. And he falls to the ground. And these 2 guys come running over like, "Yeah, man, we finally got the sheriff. Hey, dude." These 2 guys. We've been out here 6 times. We finally got the sheriff.
That's amazing.
So all the robots were looking at these guys, and the sheriff's deputy got his gun and was trying to shoot the
actor posing as a human.
The human.
Okay, yeah.
And of course he wasn't allowed to. He just didn't shoot. And he goes, so then one of the robots said to the other, "Okay, go back to stage 1." So all the characters just moved back out to their regular spots.
And the loop starts again?
Yeah. And
that's amazing. Again. That's amazing.
Except for the last show.
Uh-huh.
The very last show of the 4-day period, after the shooting, and the sheriff went to shoot the guy, and the bullets didn't go out. And then she said, one of the robots said, "Back to stage 1." Instead of all going back to stage 1, they all started to close in on the 2 humans.
Oh.
So the robots were like, "Hey, you shot one of us."
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is actually amazing. That is some really good insight that I don't think that pretty much anyone but you or someone part of the cast would be able to pick up on, right?
Right.
Assuming that a person went there a single time to experience this event, they wouldn't be able to see, both the first where everyone goes back to an original loop, and the last in which everyone closes in on the humans.
Right.
So I guess that leads to something that someone on Reddit actually wanted to know from you. And I'm sorry, Reddit user, I forget your name, but
Sure. The user.
the user. Are you a fan of Westworld?
Well, I am now. A friend of mine had showed us the first and second episodes from last year.
Oh, okay.
And the first episode, it was kind of slow, I thought. It didn't quite pick up a little bit until, right near the end, there was this guy and this girl. They were shooting everybody in town, and you thought that those were the humans.
Yeah.
But then they get shot by other two humans that wanted to, so I thought, and then the girl, right at the end, they're not supposed to kill anything. She swallowed a fly.
Yep.
Uh-oh. And
that's awesome. That was very good attention to detail. Yeah.
And then the second, we saw the second one. I don't recall too much about that one offhand, but I started, deciding. Well, my opinion is that Westworld's gotten popular because of three things. I think the Western stuff is coming back as a,
Yeah.
And then but they're all the geeks are here. They're all robots.
Oh yeah.
And then the nudity is there because all the robots are nude as they're being repaired.
That's true.
So it has this. It is HBO. So they're.
I think HBO definitely does nudity and violence very well.
Yeah. So I think that's what brought some of the appeal to it.
Yeah.
It has those three factors to it. I did want to mention there was a samurai warrior who was walking around the town who didn't speak at all. He was like confused, like he didn't know where he was at. He didn't know what he was doing.
Wow.
Or why he was, and he didn't really say anything. He just kind of walked around. And he was full dressed in samurai.
So I actually I think it was Vanity that came out with an article talking about the addition of the samurai to this interactive South by Southwest event, but they only referenced that I don't think they ever referenced that a character was ever in that armor. They just said that it was positioned in one of the buildings, just sitting there. No,
he was walking all around.
That's amazing.
All around the town. And
that's amazing.
Just kind of in a. He didn't say anything. He would just stare at people, and people would talk to him, and he just didn't respond. He was kind of eerie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, without giving you any spoilers, that is actually kind of important, right? So as the series goes on, you learn that there's multiple parks. So it's not just an old Western kind of thing.
Well, that was my understanding was, I thought he came from it wrong. He got into the wrong park somehow, and he's going a little bit haywire, like, how am I supposed to be here, or whatever.
So after the event concluded, what was the cleanup like? Was it the Westworld and Big Spoon team kind of took care of everything? And
they did a good job of cleaning up. There was a few issues that they kind of drug their feet on a little bit, but overall they did a fine job. I have to say they did really a whole lot more good than they did bad.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So I can't complain about They left me a lot of debris and a lot of stuff, but but I got a lot of stuff out of it.
The overall of the props and the buildings that they left here go along with the theme, or something that maybe you'll just be able to use at Halloween, or
no, it's the props will stay. They fit the town.
Awesome. Yeah. So after this event, do you think that you've seen an increase in business, or just foot traffic, or people checking it out?
Well, it's hard to tell right now, because right after the event we had a private event of a bandit town. They brought in some bands. There was so it was a ticketed event, and then for the next 3 weeks we also have a ticketed event here.
Oh, nice.
So it's hard to tell if there's any significant increase in traffic just yet. I suspect there will be. If
next year, if they continue these kind of interactive sets, do you think that you would definitely be on board with doing this again?
Yeah, I think it would be fine for them to come back, because again there were some trying conditions here because of the rain and the mud and the difficulties they had. Water lines broke, and there was because of the mud was but they remedied everything pretty expeditiously, and they were really good people to work with.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, the other part of the user's question was, did you experience the park genuinely as a guest, right? Like,
yes.
So you went through the whole spiel? Okay,
You had to. They gave you coins, and for these coins you could get drinks. So the drinks were free, so to speak, but you had to have a coin to get the drinks, and they had beans and beef jerky for food.
Oh, interesting.
But both the bars, this bar was full, and the Mariposa, was pretty full.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of the actors were in there playing cards,
Awesome.
and the dance hall girls, the couple hookers, I guess, or.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
What was your favorite part about the whole experience?
I think the acting. I mean, the show they put on. Because it was exciting. They had all, because these guys were walking around in character. This one guy said, "Okay, where's my brother? Where's my brother?" And then they found out his brother had been killed, and then his other brother, tracked down the guy that killed his brother, and then. There was 300 people around the circle out here where they were in their show they put on. The show was very realistic. The actors did well, I think.
What was the hardest part of hosting the event? I'm thinking logistics or really coordination. Once it starts, directly, what were you involved with in the day-to-day?
Almost nothing.
They took care of everything.
Yeah, they took care of everything. I was, they did ask me on a few things if they could do this or that, and some things they went ahead and did without my permission. But it's something they needed to do anyhow. So.
Yeah.
And I come back and I say they did more good than they ever did harm out here. So I'm not complaining at all. They did change the complexion of the town quite a bit, though. It was all kind of like that wood, that two-story over there, that color. All the buildings were made out of old fencing, pretty much. And they came in and they painted them. They gave it some color, and they added a bunch of plants, but they were rented plants, and they took them.
Yeah.
Hey, but it had a different look and a different feel. But I will have to say that a lot of people were really interested in the older part of my stuff.
I read a lot of reviews that people were like wandering off and getting outside of the event. I think someone ended up in the maze out there.
Yeah.
And of course, the maze is a big part of Westworld, as you'll find out. So a lot of people that were talking about it thought it was genuinely a part of the exhibit.
They didn't use the maze this event.
Yeah. If you just want to swing by and grab a bite to eat here, is that something that...
Absolutely. Friday,
Awesome.
Saturday, and Sundays. We're open at 4 o'clock on Friday and 11 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday. And we have the best burgers in town.
Sounds good, yeah.
Just this town, I say that. I
Here goes town. Yeah, that's true.
I can have that on any reservations.
That's very funny. Yeah. Awesome.
Sitting down with George was an awesome experience. If you're in the Austin area, please head out there and be a patron to this outstanding Western eatery. You can find more information at ghosttown.austin.com, and be sure to tell him I sent you. Lastly, I have some exciting news. I've partnered with the Justin Thomas Show, and starting tomorrow, we'll be a part of Before the Dust Settles, a Westworld podcast that launches right after each episode. I hope you come out. I hope you join in on the fun, ask some questions, be a part of this new venture that I overall think is just going to be a lot of fun. As always, much love.